What would happen if you angered one of the most powerful gods in the Greek pantheon? For the mighty Greek army at Troy, this wasn't a hypothetical question. It was a devastating reality that would teach them the price of disrespecting the divine. In the 10th year of the Trojan War, as Greek warriors besieged the mighty walls of Troy, a desperate father approached their camp. Chryses, a priest of Apollo, came bearing precious gifts and a humble request. His daughter, Chryses, had been taken captive by the Greeks and given as a prize to their supreme commander, Agamemnon. Now, this elderly priest sought to ransom her freedom. Chryses wore the sacred wreath of Apollo upon his head, marking him as a servant of the mighty god of sun, prophecy, and healing. He approached with respect, offering generous treasures for his daughter's return. The Greek soldiers, recognizing the wisdom in honoring a priest of Apollo, murmured their approval. But Agamemnon, consumed by pride and greed, had other plans. The king of Mycenae publicly humiliated the elderly priest, scorning his offerings and his prayers. Agamemnon's words cut sharper than any blade. "Old man, let me not find you lingering by our ships, nor coming here again. Your daughter is mine, and she will grow old in my house, far from her homeland, weaving at my loom and sharing my bed." As Chryses trudged away along the shore, his heart heavy with grief and shame, he raised his hands to Apollo, his divine patron. His prayer would set in motion a chain of events that would devastate the Greek army. "Hear me, Lord of the silver bow, protector of cries. If I have ever pleased you with burnt offerings or holy rites, grant my prayer. Let your arrows rain down upon the Greeks and make them pay for my tears." High on Mount Olympus, Apollo heard his priest's desperate plea. The god's wrath kindled like a raging wildfire. Known for both healing and destruction, Apollo could bring either gentle warmth or scorching death. Now he chose the latter. Descending from Olympus, his silver bow gleaming in the darkness, Apollo took aim at the Greek camp. For 9 days, the god's arrows rained death upon the Greeks. But these were no ordinary arrows. Each shaft carried invisible plagues that spread through the army like wildfire. First, the arrows found the camp's dogs and mules, then turned their deadly aim toward the soldiers themselves. Funeral pyres burned day and night, their smoke rising thick and black against the Mediterranean sky. The mighty Greek army, undefeated in battle, now fell before an invisible enemy they couldn't fight with swords or spears. Men who had survived countless battles succumbed to burning fevers and painful deaths. The plague showed no mercy, claiming both common soldiers and noble warriors alike. The beach, once filled with the sounds of military preparations, now echoed with the groans of the dying. On the 10th day, as bodies continued to pile up, Achilles, greatest of the Greek warriors, called an assembly. He knew this catastrophe was no natural occurrence. It bore the unmistakable mark of divine punishment. The hero demanded answers from Calchas, their most trusted seer, who could interpret the will of the gods. Calchas revealed the truth. Apollo's wrath had been kindled by Agamemnon's treatment of Chryses. The only way to end the plague was to return Chryses to her father, along with proper offerings and sincere apologies to both the priest and the god. But Agamemnon, even in the face of his army's decimation, initially refused to yield. This crisis revealed a crucial lesson about Greek beliefs. The gods were not distant, uninvolved beings, but active participants in human affairs. Disrespect toward their representatives, in this case, Apollo's priest, brought swift and terrible consequences. The Greeks believed that maintaining proper relationships with the gods through respect, sacrifice, and humility was essential for survival. Eventually, faced with the complete destruction of his army, Agamemnon relented. Chryses was returned to her father with gifts and offerings to Apollo. Chryses, showing the mercy his king had lacked, prayed again to Apollo, this time for the plague to end. The god, satisfied that his priest's honor had been restored, lifted his deadly curse from the Greek camp. This story, preserved in the opening books of Homer's Iliad, resonated deeply with ancient Greeks and continues to captivate us today. It speaks to universal themes: the danger of hubris, the importance of respect for the sacred, and the terrible price of pride. It reminds us that even the mightiest can be brought low when they forget their place in the cosmic order. The tale of Apollo's plague arrows has influenced countless works of art and literature throughout history. From Renaissance paintings depicting Apollo with his silver bow, to modern retellings that draw parallels with contemporary epidemics, this myth continues to remind us of the complex relationship between divine power and human responsibility. In the end, this ancient story teaches us that true strength lies not in unbridled pride or absolute power, but in wisdom, respect, and the ability to acknowledge our own limitations. The arrows of Apollo serve as an eternal warning about the consequences of crossing the divine, a lesson written in suffering and sealed with celestial fire.